Hello guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Tori Lynn. Let's blossom today. I've always been into makeup, but in high school I really didn't have much of a makeup routine. Honestly, my makeup routine was a bit cringy, and I feel like it's gonna feel so incomplete doing this, but I thought it would be so much fun to recreate my makeup from high school, like what I would do just on like an average day in high school. So to get in that mindset of high school, I did my hair like I probably would have done on a regular day in high school. I either would have worn it down or I would have thrown it into like a low ponytail, kind of did a little bit of like loosening it up and pulled out some wispies, some baby pieces around the face, and that would have been boom, there would have been my hair. And then I threw on an outfit that was like quintessentially my high school wardrobe. I wore leggings, layered tank tops, and a cardigan every single day. Oh, and Toms. You can't forget Toms. It was all about the Toms when I was in high school. So that's what I threw on today. A nice cardigan. I believe this cardigan was actually one I still have from high school. I believe I got this one from Arizona, from JCPenney's, Arizona brand. And then these are just some tank tops I think I picked up from Maurice's, possibly a year or two ago. They're just some nice cotton tank tops, and I would have worn an outfit exactly like this to high school. So let's jump into the makeup. Now, this is going to be so freaking cringy. I wore no skincare. I had absolutely no skincare game in high school. I didn't even wash off my makeup. Like, yeah, sure, if I was in the shower and I wiped my face and some came off, then yeah, that came off. I pretty much only used Kirkland facial towelettes from Costco. Like, that was the only form of washing my face that I ever did. And I used no moisturizers, no primers, no nothing on my skin, okay? Simple, easy. Didn't have to worry about any of those steps, I guess. I jumped straight into foundation. Now, my grandma was a Mary Kay consultant. She still is a Mary Kay consultant. So I think in middle school, I started using Mary Kay products, and I used those all the way through high school and even into beauty school. I didn't really know much about high-end makeup. I mean, yes, I kind of knew it existed, but I didn't own anything really. So I used Mary Kay Time Wise liquid foundation. I luckily somehow still have some of this in my drawer, and the weird thing is I have 3 tubes, like practically empty tubes, in the same shade, in the shade Beige 5, and I'm not really sure why I have this shade, because I'm pretty sure it was like an ivory something as my typical shade. This is a much tanner shade than my usual shade, and I don't feel like I did that much tanning during the summer when I was in high school. When I was young, yeah, I got pretty tan, but by the time I was into wearing makeup, I didn't really spend that much time outside during the summer. So not really sure why I have 3 almost empty shades of Beige 5, but I'm glad I do because I need these for this video. What I used to apply my makeup was a sponge round, just a round makeup sponge, one you could find at any drugstore, Walmart, wherever, any makeup section. You could find a ginormous pack of these for pretty cheap. And I would just start by squeezing on a decent amount. I'm hoping I have enough of this stuff. I actually already filmed this video once and somehow lost the footage. I don't know if it got deleted or what happened, but the footage is just gone. So hoping I still have enough of this foundation to cover my face. But yeah, I would squeeze a good amount of this stuff onto my sponge. I don't remember exactly how much. It's been a lot of years since I've used this, but a good amount. And I would just smear it on my skin. Now this stuff is like a medium-ish coverage, but it is buildable. But back then I really didn't know there was such thing as full coverage foundations. To me, this was full coverage. Like, I didn't know there was a difference. I didn't know there was light coverage. I didn't know there was medium coverage. I didn't know there was full coverage. Like, I knew nothing about foundation coverage. This was basically the only liquid foundation I had ever used. So yeah, I just didn't really care about whether the coverage was good or bad. It just did the job, did the trick. I got this from my grandma and I was happy. And I had no rhyme or reason to how I put this on my skin. I would just work it around the face until my whole face was covered. Like I said, this foundation doesn't have worst coverage in the world. It's got a good, what I'd say is a nice, solid, medium coverage. But it's not bad. And right now it's still a little bit wet. It has like a pretty good, what I'd call a nice natural finish to it. But it does dry down to a nice matte texture as far as it dries down to almost kind of like those liquid to powder foundations. It doesn't stay tacky or wet on the skin. It dries to a nice, very powdery, dry texture, which is good because I did not set my foundations at all. I also didn't use concealer. This is where I left it as far as liquids. The only sort of powders I used were eyeshadows and blush. And the only reason I used blush was because I saw these girls who probably were wearing bronzer and contour, now knowing what I know looking back, but they had like this, thing on the cheek, and I thought it looked cute. And with what information I had back then, I knew women wore blush, so I thought that they were wearing blush. So I don't know exactly what I used in high school, but I would guess it was either another Mary Kay product or a drugstore product. And I happen to have this Mary Kay blush in the shade Rosy Nude, just a nice soft nude blush. So we're going to take that and we're going to pop that on the cheekbones. I remember seeing this kind of in my more mid to later years of high school. These girls had these really cute kind of contoured cheeks with blush, and so I started doing that. And it got pretty blushy. I remember using a decent amount of blush because I'm pretty sure they were probably using bronzer. And so, I was trying to get that bronze cheek look, that contoured look with blush. Not that there's anything wrong with this look per se. I do know that this is a way to do it. I do know that people do this, and it is kind of cute, especially during the summer. It just gives you more of that sun-kissed look, but I prefer a bronzer to do this and then do a blush over top. But so yeah, I would do something like this, but this is all the farther I would go with my powders, aside from some eyeshadow. I didn't get into studying makeup until more than halfway through beauty school. I did not do makeup in beauty school. I didn't take aesthetics. There were girls in beauty school doing facials and that kind of stuff, and they needed people to practice them on doing facials and makeup. I would take my makeup and stuff in. I'd get a facial and I would take my makeup in so they wouldn't have to use their makeup from their kits. And one of the girls, I remember one time, she was like, "Where's your powders? What do you set your foundation down with?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing." And it was just like, this whole foundation powder stuff was all brand new to me. And the reason I really got into makeup was when I was in beauty school, my sister-in-law asked me to do her hair and makeup and her friend's hair and makeup for homecoming. And so to prepare myself, I watched a bunch of videos on YouTube on makeup and that kind of stuff for homecoming to get some ideas and just feel prepared. And it got me so inspired, and just like I fell in love with all these cool techniques and ways to do makeup, because I'd always loved makeup, but I just didn't know that there was all this extra cool, amazing ways to do makeup. Like, I just knew the basics because my mom never really wore makeup. Like, I just didn't know about this stuff because I had nobody in my family really to teach me about this. So, of course, my grandma that did Mary Kay, but even then, Mary Kay is more about enhancing your natural beauty. It's not about going full glam. So, anyways, let's jump into the eyes. Now, for eyeshadow, I was all about loose pigment eyeshadows. I had a ton of loose pigment eyeshadows, and the brand I typically used was My Mineral Glow, and I believe we picked these up from a fair. I don't know if it was a state fair or a county fair, but I was with my mom and my aunt, and we were at a fair, and we came across this booth selling My Mineral Glow, and they had so many shades. And the cool thing about My Mineral Glow was you could use it as an eyeshadow, a lipstick, of course a blush, or a lip gloss. It wasn't a lipstick, it was a lip gloss, or a nail polish. And so you could buy, of course, the pigments, and then they had a lip gloss, a clear lip gloss that you could mix with it, or a clear nail polish you could mix with them. So they were pretty cool. They're very versatile pigments, but we ended up buying a ton of these shades. And of course, I pretty much only used browns and neutral colors like that. And then I had this one super bright shimmery shade that I popped on the lid. Now, I pretty much used all of these through high school. At one point, I did end up getting a Maybelline, one of the nude palettes, but I used these from like middle school all the way through high school, and I had some shades that I absolutely loved and we repurchased throughout the years. And for some reason I still have this one random shade in the shade Maroon number 17 floating around in my drawer. But I did find some other single shadow loose pigments that I figured we could use today. I'm going to start with this single shadow from MAC. This is in the shade Soba. It's just a nice neutrally brown, and I'm going to pop that shade in the crease. Now, when I was in high school, it was all about a rounded eye. So I would go from the inner corner to the outer corner, but instead of winging it out like we would do nowadays, I would make this very, very round. Like, I wanted my eyes to be big and round. Like, I don't know, that was the style. That was what I was all about back then. I'm glad I was still into neutrals, though. I never went really crazy with colors, other than I might have done some cringy things like putting a silver eyeshadow under the brow or something to that effect, but I never was cringy as far as wearing like blue eyeshadow or that kind of stuff. I pretty much always stayed in browns or grays or blacks. Every once in a while I might have done something with like a pink or something, because of course I had a bunch of colors, but pretty much always stayed with more neutral colors. Alright, now we got our very rounded crease shade in there. Now I don't have a lot of color options. I have this loose pigment from Naked Cosmetics in the shade Heavy Metal. It's a very, very bright bronzy metallic shade, which I did have a shade very similar to this. Or I have this other one from Marsk, and it is in the shade Mud Cake, and it's a little more of a dark purpley brown, if you will, but it has a lot of iridescent pigment in it. Like, if you kind of tilt it, you get some like greens and some blues and then purples, and like it's got a lot of iridescence in it. Me in high school, although it's not as dark, I would have gone for probably a darker brown. I think I'll go with this bronzy shade. I feel like that would have been maybe a little more me. So I'll go ahead and just tip a little bit of it into the lid of this container here and dip my brush into it, and then I'm gonna buff that into the crease, basically in the same shape or pattern as the last one, but I'm not gonna go quite as far into the crease. And I'm even gonna work it down onto the lid as well. So if you remember, I mentioned I had that bright white shimmery shade that I would have popped on the inner corner. So I found this. It's not a loose pigment, but it is a single shadow shade. It is from the brand M Princess Pressed in the shade Biscuit. And it's just a very bright white pearlescent-y shade. So we're going to go ahead and pop that right up on the lid from the inner corner, about halfway over the lid. Alright, this is about where I would have left off the eyeshadow. The worst part about this whole thing is I didn't even do anything with my brows. I did nothing with my brows, but I can't stand the hairs the way they're laying. But I'm at least going to go ahead and brush my brow hairs with a spoolie. They have like foundation and stuff in them. I don't know if I was better at not getting foundation in them back in the day, or if I just didn't care. If I liked it like that, like I have no idea. All I know is my brows look terrible and I can't stand it. But yeah, I think the eyes look about right. Except for I would have thrown on a liner. I lived for a winged liner every day in high school. So I pulled out this Stila Stay All Day waterproof liner. In high school, I used the Maybelline Master Precise liquid eyeliner. I don't have one of those. This is the only one I have at the moment. So this is what I'm going to use. Now, winged liners are not my thing anymore. I used to do a liner every single day, and now I don't even know how to do it correctly. Like, I don't even know how to do a winged liner anymore. So here we go. Bear with me. Okay, so I got eye number one done. Not so bad. Definitely not the best wing liner I've ever seen, but definitely not the worst I've ever done. So let's go ahead and attempt eye number 2. Hopefully it goes okay. I did it. Neither one of them were terrible. Definitely not as good as they would have been when I was in high school, because in high school I could do those wings with both of my freaking eyes shut and they would have turned out perfectly because I just did them every day. They were amazing, and now I can't do them to save my life. But whatever, let's move on. Let's put on some mascara. Now this, I had to go out and purchase one. This was one of my favorite mascaras. This is the Maybelline Pumped Up Colossal Volume. I like this one, and the other one was in more of a fuchsia magenta colored container, and it was something falsies. I can't remember now, but either way, this was one of my faves. Although I didn't realize when I was buying this that this was a waterproof container. But I'm gonna go ahead and give my lashes a couple good coats. Well, I don't know what it is that I liked about that mascara so much, because it was dry and crusty, and I felt like all it did was make my eyelashes look super clumpy. But to be honest, I just loved Maybelline mascaras. Like, they were my favorites. I pretty much tried every Maybelline mascara that there was out there back in the day, and I definitely had my favorites. But either way, this mascara, I don't know if maybe this one was just old. I did pick it up at Marshall's because that's where I happened to be at the time. Yeah, I don't know if this one was just old and dried out, but it seemed very dry, and it just made my lashes look very crusty and clumpy. So yeah, not the best mascara in the world. So I don't know why I was so obsessed with it, but yeah, basically this is what I did for my makeup every day in high school. Basically incomplete. I don't have any bronzer, I don't have any highlight, I didn't set my skin, I did no concealers, I didn't even do my brows, I didn't put anything on my lips. I basically went with foundation lips every day. Oh god, it's so bad. And it's not the worst looking makeup in the world. I could do a few more things to touch it up and it wouldn't look so bad. But let me know what you guys think about this look and what you did in high school. Did you have like a full makeup routine where you were in on the glam makeup in high school, or were you like me and you just didn't know about all the steps and tips and tricks about makeup back then? I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, then give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.